From being so childish that it makes the drivers stay quiet.
Because it seems there's been a big difference in performance lately.
A lot.
Can you elaborate in terms of what you do?
No, I might get fined.
To applying nonsense penalties that make them spit facts.
They have the power to do and to decide, and we have to accept it. But I'm surprised and totally disagree for sure.
These are 28 minutes of the FIA FIA F. School. The place where you met your best friends, kissed your first crush, and probably swore for the first time too. Luckily, teachers were already around to tell you to watch your mouth. Unless you're Max Verstappen. See, we're in Baku 2024, and the Flying Dutchman was having a weekend to forget. After being out-qualified by his teammate Checo Perez for the first time in 33 races, Max found himself struggling all weekend, a lot. He finished 5th and summed it up saying, "We paid the price for that," referring to the setup decisions made the day before. Naturally, the media pounced. Is this Max's downfall? Has the champ finally lost it? A week later in Singapore, he gave his own answer, not with a podium, but with a mic.
And a different setup, so as soon as I went into qualifying, I knew the car was...
You heard it. My guy wasn't screaming or insulting anyone, just talking. And it's not like the drivers haven't said worse before.
Well, there was a cut, debris, maybe something wrong with the bodywork, the driver went wide.
However, this time the difference was simple. There was a new rule in place, and like it or not, they had to follow it. In January 2024, the FIA quietly added a section called Appendix B to the sporting code, which honestly sounds like something made up 5 minutes before a Zoom call. The thing basically treats swearing like a war crime. We're talking fines from $45,000 up to $140,000. Add impossible suspensions or even losing points just for dropping a few F-bombs. And no, drivers weren't asked. Their union, yeah, it exists, is called the GPDA. Wasn't asked. It just appeared like a Windows update you didn't ask for. So Max, being Max, didn't just let it slide. He crushed his teammate on a street circuit.
And over the line comes Max Verstappen to claim second position.
Refused to elaborate in interviews and even held a one-man press conference out of protest. Of course, Ben Sulayem wasn't thrilled, and they slapped him with a penalty and even made him do community service in Rwanda for swearing. Let that sink in. And this is the part where I ask myself, all of that, for what? Because in the end, they folded. Fines got slashed 50%. So it's only fair you raise those subs 50%. That's how democracy works, right? In any case, swearing, illegal. Torrential rain? Hell no. Infernal heat? Actually sounds kinda nice. And yet, in 2023, the FIA greenlit a race under those exact conditions. Enter Qatar. It wasn't just controversial, it was brutal.
Having come out of the pits, this is Logan Sargent easing himself out of the car.
His body is completely exhausted. He's dehydrated, and this was all for entertainment purposes, so thank you all very much.
Nevertheless, by moving the race to December for the following year, fans thought they were starting to come to their senses. Wrong. Opening lap 30 as cars flew down the main straight.
It's been fluctuating, now 1.2 seconds behind. It took a big chunk out of him in the first sector.
That's where the wing mirror came from.
Whoosh! Out of nowhere, Albon's mirror decided it had enough and ejected itself into the middle of the track. Could have been from an earlier brush with Mr. Strulovic.
Let's have a look. So he's on the brakes, there's Albon. Oh, he's got no grip on that hard tyre. Round goes Albon, further on lap 1.
Massively hit my stroll. Yeah, copy that. I knew he was going to do it.
Maybe not. Point is, it landed right where everyone makes their passes. One hit is game over. So what did they do? Safety car? Red flag? VSC? Nah. Double yellow flags.
Come on the main straight, which is why we had a yellow flag. Will we need a virtual safety car to deal with that mirror?
Okay, bold call to say the least, but fine, whatever the way, the goal was obvious. Get the mirror off the track. Did they? Well, they did remove the yellows, yeah, but the mirror? Still chilling on the asphalt. Why? According to the stewards, and I quote, it was too small and off the racing line. Right, because flying shards of glass are harmless if they're slightly to the right, huh? 4 laps later, Bottas moves aside under blue flags to let Leclerc through. Takes the inside line heading into turn 1. Boom! Puncture. No warning, no chance. And guess what? Still no intervention. Cars kept flying through the same section over the same debris, and then it happened again.
A puncture for Lewis Hamilton. Now, as he picked up debris on that main straight, and I think Carlos Sainz is also in trouble with all that debris on the main straight. very easy for cars to run over it and get a puncture. And Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton both in trouble in this race.
Sainz, Hamilton, two different cars, two different teams, both suffering a front left puncture at the exact same time. What were the odds? Well, let me tell you, this wasn't luck, bad luck more specifically. This was the FIA once again going, what's the worst that could happen?
God, what is this tractor? What is this tractor on track?
Now continuing the list of Grand Prix locations where you might need a bunker, Saudi 2022 ranks pretty high. Most people remember that race weekend for two things. One, Mick Schumacher's horror crash that sent the paddock into collective silence. 2, missiles. Like actual falling from the sky kind of missiles. But buried underneath all that stuff, in the undercard of Formula 2, was one of the coldest, most unfair and honestly most soul-destroying rulings we've seen in years. Let me introduce you to Dennis Hauger, Norwegian talent, Formula 3 champ, the guy Red Bull was quietly hoping would be next. However, he hadn't started his F2 season great. There were doubts, people whispering maybe he wasn't ready. But in Jeddah, everything seemed to click. He qualified on pole, and most importantly, he was finally in control of his own weekend, until...
Oh, big crash in the background there. And that will almost certainly be, we only got a flash of it, but that will certainly be another safety car, I think.
Safety car deployed through the pit lane. Okay, nothing weird yet. Nevertheless, as soon as Hauger entered the pit lane, the message changed. Now, safety car entry closed. And guess who's halfway into it?
Pit lane entry was closed. And car number 1 went through the pit lane entry.
Yep, our lad. And for that, he got hit with the most severe penalty short of disqualification. 10 seconds stop and go, which basically means game over. My guy dropped last and never recovered. Weekend ruined, points gone, momentum crushed. The team appealed, obviously. They had the comms, the receipts, the full timeline. Their response, visual signals override verbal instructions. And that's when everyone in the paddock did the same thing. Tilted their heads, squinted their eyes and went, wait, what? It's like you're driving, a cop waves you into a parking spot, then 10 minutes later, boom, ticket on your windshield. Makes zero sense. So yeah, a rookie followed the system and got wrecked by the system. Moral of the story? When in doubt, trust your gut. Unless your gut suddenly tries to inhale half the Canadian grasslands, like Seb in 2019. But not just any Seb. Vintage Vettel. Calm under pressure, fast without trying. The kind of driver who didn't just lead races, he owned them. And on lap 48, he was doing exactly that. Front of the pack, total control, every corner on his terms. But then, something goes wrong.
Yeah, the back just would not stick. That's bad news for him in terms of his absolute pace as well. They didn't do anything wrong.
The verdict, unsafe rejoin. The punishment,
We've got a 5-second time penalty for unsafe re-entry.
and yeah, sure, if we're going strictly by the rulebook, the penalty made sense. But from a racing perspective, from the logic and soul of this sport, that's where it gets shaky. Vettel was on the absolute limit, saving a Ferrari that just tried to lawnmower itself across at 124 miles per hour. He didn't run wide because he was reckless or dirty. He was under pressure, made a small mistake, and pulled off a miracle to recover it. He rejoined as best he could, with barely any control. And yeah, maybe he did squeeze Hamilton a little, but there was no contact, no crash. They both carried on. It's not like what happened a few months later in Italy, for example.
Oh, there's Sebastian Vettel, and he spun. Oh, and he's coming onto the track just as Lance Stroll goes past him as well.
Anyway, the German was fuming, skipped Parc Fermé, stormed into the steward's office, and when he came back, he saw Hamilton's first place victory board and swapped it with the second place one.
The Sebastian Vettel is taking the number 2 from where his car should be, putting it in front of Lewis Hamilton's car.
That was Seb's win. You knew it, I knew it, everyone but the FIA seemed to know it. Fans seriously asked, if we're handing out penalties for stuff like that, why are we even racing? Same kind of questions we're still asking. 6 years later, honestly. Either way, Vettel didn't lose to Hamilton. He lost to a PDF file. 16 years earlier, that damn file didn't even open. Brazil, the 6th of April 2003. A historic day for safety, they said. The hands device was now mandatory, a revolution in driver protection. And thank God for that, because the universe decided this race would be a full-blown natural disaster. Rain? More like a monsoon. The safety car led the first 7 laps because visibility was don't even try levels of bad. Turn 3 looked like SeaWorld, and once they did finally start racing, the show began. Classic FIA. One step forward, two steps back. And then, lap 55 happened. Mark Webber was flying down the straight at full tilt, and suddenly, his Jaguar decided life wasn't worth living anymore. Jeez, carbon fiber everywhere. Just when you thought surely that's the worst of it, Fernando Alonso appeared.
Oh, and we've got another car. Alonso.
Marshals had seen enough. The red flag was out, and with 15 laps remaining, they decided to finalize the event. Now, here's the interesting part. According to the FIA's own rulebook, when a race is stopped under a red flag, the final result is taken from 2 laps prior to the one where the red flag is shown, unless all cars had crossed the line. And guess what? Giancarlo Fisichella had already crossed the line to start lap 56. He'd just overtaken Kimi and was leading the race for the first time in his entire F1 career. So, he won, right? Ha! No, because with all their technology and NASA stuff, guess what? They rolled back to the incorrect lap. They went to lap 53 instead of 54. And who was leading back then? Kimi. Magnificent. The world clapped. Giancarlo cried a little inside, and the trophy went home with the wrong guy. But Eddie Jordan, that man had read the manual and he knew the rules. He challenged the result, and days later, the FIA finally did what they rarely do, admitted they fucked up. So what now? A dramatic reversal, a grand ceremony, headlines? Nah. They told Kimi to bring the trophy to the next race in Imola, and what followed was the most awkward refund exchange ceremony in Formula 1 history. Fisichella looked thrilled. Kimi looked like he wanted to go back to sleep. And I looked like an Australian. Albert Park might look clean and calm, but when it comes to Demolition Derby, it delivers like few others. Let's start with 2023 to show you what I'm talking about.
Hamilton under pressure from Fernando Alonso.
Verstappen's cruising, Hamilton's P2, then red flag.
Red flag for the second time in this Grand Prix.
Kevin Magnussen clipped the wall and sent his tyre flying. Not ideal, but hardly race ending. Still, the FIA panics. They stop the race and call for a stand-in restart on cold tyres. At Albert Park, with 2 laps to go and the entire field stacked together, what could go wrong?
It's 2 laps to sort out who wins this one. Immediately Verstappen is chopping ahead. It's as he were from the top 3. It's going to be close to contact, and Fernando Alonso is spun round by Carlos Sainz. In a place in Gasly rejoining, and then these 2. Gasly doesn't know his teammates there. Red flag again. Carnage. Absolute chaos.
8 cars involved before turn 3, just like the old times. And then, another red flag.
Red flag, red flag, red flag.
The FIA hits undo and reverts the order, but still penalises Sainz after resetting the timeline.
We're going back, but it says restart order.
It's how it was.
Carlos Sainz has a 5-second penalty.
Please, guys, do something, please. I cannot still believe it. We are P3 and P4. And they will put me out of the points for that.
Time travel justice, baby. Let's now go to 2024. Final laps. Russell's chasing Alonso. He's pushing hard until his car snaps and hits the wall.
George Russell on the last lap of the race, and he's had a big contact with the wall.
At first, it looks like driver error, but then, surprise, the FIA blames Alonso for driving too cleverly. Apparently, slowing down in the right places now gets you a 20-second penalty, and even Russell wasn't sure it was deserved.
You know, I don't take anything personally with what happened with Fernando, and it probably had bigger consequences than it should have.
The FIA might have confused Alonso for Ocon, considering how harsh the penalty was. Drivers, pundits, no one agreed.
They have the power to do and to decide, and you know we have to accept it. But yeah, I'm surprised and totally disagree for sure.
Things are going to be discussed for sure in the drivers' briefing. You know, by tomorrow night, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we'll discuss it in the drivers' briefing.
Even my cat had questions.
Huh?
Still think that's not polemic enough? Let's go back to 2009. Brawn GP stuns the world with a 1-2 debut.
Take victory in Melbourne. Jenson Button crosses the line, takes the checkered flag. Brawn GP. It's a 1-2 finish.
But behind them, chaos brews. Truly finishes P3, but Hamilton claims to the FIA that he passed under the safety car.
I was in 4th, and I was overtaken on the yellow flags by Truly, so I gained my position back and was 3rd. So
That's a 25-second penalty right there. Except McLaren lied. They told Lewis to let Trulli by, then pretended they didn't in the stewards' meeting.
The Toyota went off in the second to last corner. I overtook him. Is that okay?
Lewis, you need to allow the Toyota through. Allow the Toyota through now.
So Lewis disqualified, and thus Liegate was born. Only Australia delivers that level of elite chaos, but at least always gives us peak racing, unlike some other places. In 2025, we were all hyped for an epic wet race, but the FIA acts like the rain is toxic these days. Ever heard of full wets, guys? So what did they do? Delayed the race just long enough to miss the rain.
It is time for the green flag to fly at Spa. Let's go racing at one of the great circuits on the planet.
The result? A perfect Sunday nap instead of a race. But what if I told you they already fucked it up a few years earlier, and it was way worse? In 2021, it also promised to deliver quite a show. With a championship battle going on and interesting weather, everyone was thrilled. Well, it had everything except racing. Let's start with qualifying. Heavy rain, zero visibility, everyone looking like they're driving inside a car wash. Race control? Let's wait 12 minutes, see what happens. Spoiler, it got worse. Then the goat of I told you so, Seb, gets on the radio mid Q3 and says,
I think they should red flag. Red flag. It's too much water, mate.
Nah, we're good. Fast forward 30 seconds, Lando Norris hits Eau Rouge.
Lando Norris has had a big off, and you can see the tyre.
Lando, are you okay? Are you okay?
Massive crash. Red flag finally comes out after the damage is done. And Seb, he drives by the scene like your dad when he's right about the weather forecast. What did I fucking say? So chalk one up for qualifying negligence. But oh boy, that wasn't even the main event. Race day, and it was just rain. Wall-to-wall Belgian sky vomit. Fans are soaked. The track looks like a slip and slide. Visibility, dead.
Already can't see anything behind.
Grip, dead. They try a couple of formation laps behind the safety car, which is like watching a funeral procession, but with more umbrellas. Then they red flag it. Cool, logical move. Let's wait out the rain, right?
So red flag.
They were all considered formation laps.
Well, after 2 hours of pure limbo, the FIA hits the lol, let's try it again button. The cars roll out again, behind the safety car. They do one more lap, and then checkered flag. Race over. That's it.
Congratulations, Max Verstappen, on yet another win in Formula 1.
3 laps, no racing. Verstappen gets the win and Russell gets his first ever F1 podium in a Williams and looks more confused than proud. Hamilton, P3, and instantly calls it what it was, a scam.
But the fans have been incredible today, just to stick with us this whole time and hold out for a potential race. I really hope the fans get their money back today.
FIA's logic? Technically, we did 2 full laps, so it counts. Yikes. They gave out half the points, held a podium, and waved flags. Fans who camped out for days in the pouring rain got to witness the most expensive 3-lap parade in history. To their credit, the FIA changed the rules in 2022. No more fake races. Now you need at least 2 green flag laps to count. Sure, the FIA may have made some questionable calls that day, but at least it was in the name of safety, because there was a time when they clearly didn't care at all. Have you ever wondered what could be the worst rule that FIA has ever implemented? Let's rewind to 2005, to the time the FIA cooked up a genius-level rule. No more tyre changes during the race. The idea? Cut costs, force tyre suppliers to build more durable rubber, and slow the cars down, mainly Ferrari, because yeah, as incredible as it may seem, there was a time when the Italian team was unstoppable. Sadly, those times will never come back. Anyway, back to reality. The rule was a mess, and the moment it exploded, yeah, literally, welcome to the Nürburgring. Kimi Räikkönen was dominating until he flat spotted a tyre mid-race. Under normal rules, he'd just pit and move on, but this wasn't normal. The vibrations from that tyre got so bad, the car was physically shaken apart. McLaren had 2 options, pit and possibly take a penalty, or pray the car held together. They gambled. Final lap, boom.
He just misses the BAR. I said he should have pitted. I told you he would have got a podium if he pitted, instead of which he's going to get absolutely nothing.
Suspension gone, race gone. From the lead, just like that. This rule didn't make racing better. It turned it into tyre babysitting. Nobody liked it, and nothing made that clearer than what happened in the infamous United States GP. Michelin, tyre supplier for 14 of the 20 cars, because yeah, we had 2 tyre suppliers back then, realised their rubber couldn't survive turn 13 at full throttle. That corner had heavy banking and was generating insane loads. The tyres were basically screaming for mercy, so Michelin went to the FIA like, hey, this is dangerous, let us change tyres or add a chicane. The FIA said nope, so Michelin teams went, cool, watch this.
Here comes Alonso, World Championship leader.
You know our plan is for the start. Straight in the pits, please, mate.
McLaren Toyota, there's the pole sitter Jarno Trulli pouring into the pits, and just listen to the crowd.
All of Michelin's efforts to find a solution with the Speedway, with the FIA and the Bridgestone runners, the selfishness of some has been the cost of the majority.
After the formation lap, all 14 Michelin cars pulled into the pits and never came back out. That left just 6 cars on the grid: Ferrari, Jordan and Minardi. What followed was not a race, it was a clown parade. Fans were booing louder than the engines. People left the grandstands. Michael Schumacher won, technically, but even Ferrari fans looked uncomfortable celebrating that one. Thankfully, this was rock bottom and the FIA scrapped it in 2006. But the damage? Already done. This season showed us how a rule can make a race unforgettable, and not in a good way. But now imagine it's not the rule book, it's how you interpret it. It all started like a classic finale. 2 titans, equal on points.
The 2 drivers contesting this championship are separated by 0 points.
Max Verstappen versus Lewis Hamilton. The fearless young gun versus the 7-time world champ with a legacy to protect. We all knew something wild was coming, just not this wild. Right from lap 1, it got messy.
It's lights out, away we go, and Hamilton gets a decent start, and he's already ahead of Max Verstappen. There's a bit of jockeying going on between Tsunoda and Ricciardo. Oh, and there, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton almost coming together.
Yes, to get that back.
No investigation necessary.
The FIA was like, let them race. So, elbows out then. Everything calmed down. Lewis entered God mode. He was flawless and managed the race like it was a speed run. Max, just hanging on. 5 laps to go. Lewis was cruising to his 8th title, and suddenly... Latifi crashes. Safety car. Game on.
What's the situation behind? So, the situation is Verstappen has pitted. He had a free pit stop.
I can't box.
Negative.
That's unbelievable.
Now, here's where everything broke. The rule says lapped cars may unlap themselves. Usually that means all of them. Then, 1 lap later, green flag. Simple. But Massey, he rewrote the playbook.
All the cars ahead of you are allowed to overtake Hamilton.
Well, this is highly unusual. Not all of the cars are allowed to unlap themselves.
So, there's confusion, but the safety car is coming in at the end of this lap.
That is so not right. That is so not right.
Only 5 lapped cars, the ones between Max and Lewis, were allowed through. Then, immediately, safety car in this lap. 1 lap showdown. Max on fresh softs. Lewis on old hearts. You already know the rest.
We're going to have 1 lap of racing to decide the championship in 2021. Overtaking zone is normally down in the turn 5.
This is it.
Get it! It's Verstappen! Far enough back, he's going to make the lunge down the inside. Hamilton sees him coming. It's a late lunge by Verstappen. Now snatches the championship trophy.
Verstappen pounces, takes the lead, wins the race.
Red Bull will be delighted. They have shared a brilliant championship battle, but the championship can only be won by one. And it's going to 2021. Max Verstappen, for the first time ever, is champion.
Oh my Lord, Max! Oh my God! Yes! Oh my God!
Max Verstappen, you are the world champion!
World champ. The crowd stunned. The paddock speechless. The post-race was chaos. Mercedes protested, obviously. A few weeks later, the FIA admitted it was human error. Massey was out.
Michael Massey, who accomplished a very challenging job for 3 years as Formula One race director following Charlie Whiting, will be offered a new position within the FIA.
But the damage already done. Max's title 100% deserved, but always surrounded by that ending. Nobody blames him. He just drove. However, that season finale was something else. Just like it was written by the DTS crew, but 30 years ago when there was no Netflix, no mobile phones, and no social media, who was writing the stories back then? The FIA. 1989. Prost, Senna, 2 world champs. And this wasn't just a title fight. It was a war of egos. Senna was chaos incarnate. Prost was the professor. And their battleground, every track, every weekend. By the time they reached the penultimate race of that season, the civil war was about to explode. Why? Japan was set to be the title decider. Prost had the points lead, and all he needed was a clean finish. Senna, he needed to win. Not only this, but the last 2 races. So naturally, he went full anime protagonist mode. No holding back, no mercy, just pure, unfiltered Senna. Lap 46, the chicane. Senna dives, Prost blocks, contact. They crash like it's scripted. Prost hops out like he's just submitted his final exam. Done. Meanwhile, Senna's like, nah, I'm not finished. Sketchy? Sure. Illegal? Depends on who you're asking, but that wasn't even the most ridiculous part. Senna still goes and overtakes Alessandro Nannini like a man possessed.
And through. Now, Nannini smokes up. Ayrton Senna leads at the conclusion of lap 51.
Full clutch performance, untouchable. Victory secured.
Ayrton Senna wins in Japan. Is there going to be a stewards' inquiry? Alain Prost will have one if he can.
Until the FIA swooped in like, actually, we're going to go ahead and DSQ you for that rejoin.
And as we speak, Alain Prost is in race control talking to Jean-Marie Balestre, the president of FISA, so the politics have started already.
Nannini gets the win. Prost gets the title. And Senna, he gets labelled as a dangerous driver. Sure, the move and comeback was sketchy, but a DSQ and a nickname? Rejoining through the escape road wasn't ideal, but drivers had done it before. The real reason everyone lost their minds, Jean-Marie Balestre, the same guy who just so happened to be Prost's fellow countryman.
You took the normal racing line. I would put it to you that from the aerial pictures, it looked as though you turned in quite early and it wasn't a normal line at all.
I won 39 races and now a Swiss championship. Do you think that I would do something like this on purpose?
Senna saw right through it.
The way the whole affair has been treated is like I have total responsibility for everything that took place there. I was blamed for everything and I was penalized for everything.
And in that moment, the rivalry shifted. It wasn't just Senna versus Prost anymore. It was Senna versus the system. The FIA had gone from being referees to full-on character villains. It was a political chessboard, and the king had just been taken off the board by the tournament director. And what did Senna do? He returned in 1990 and yeeted Prost at turn 1 just to make a point.
Senna is trying to go through on the inside, and it's happened immediately.
From Senna versus Prost to Lewis versus Max, the faces change, the battles evolve, but somehow the FIA is still finding new ways to become the main character. If you enjoyed watching this fucking up compilation, make sure you watch one of the most fucked up seasons ever. And as always, thank you for watching.